Hello everybody, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. This is the Frugal Cottage, where we talk all things money to help you on your financial journey. Today's video is all about dividends and living off dividend income. How much might you need for that and how long will it take you to achieve that kind of size of portfolio? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's get started. So I've made videos on dividends before. I'll leave a link below to the video that explains just what they are. But essentially a dividend is a company giving you back a tiny bit of profit from their business. And because you have invested in their business, you own part of that company. Might be a really small part, but you own a tiny bit of that, and so you get a share of their profits when they pay out dividend income. Most holdings in individual companies do pay out dividends. They pay them out either once a year, twice a year, or 4 times a year, depending on the dividends and their schedule. And then funds generally pay out once or twice a year, depending on which one they are. So that's a bit about dividends first, but the main reason for this video is really talking about how you can achieve the dividend income you want to be able to live off that alone. So we're not talking about selling your shares off to use the capital income for that. We're just talking about the dividends themselves. And when you're thinking about living off dividend income, you need to think about what kind of lifestyle you want to have to be able to do that. Now obviously there are different things that come into play here, but do you want a really extravagant lifestyle? Do you want to be travelling kind of multiple times a year, having lots of luxury products? The kind of lifestyle you wish to lead will very much determine what you need to save and invest in order to be able to have the dividend income. I'll leave a link below to the financial freedom video I've done on working out your number, but you do really need to have a kind of a budget in place to know what the number is that you're aiming for. And that's really important, so you can't kind of just pick a number out of thin air and say, all right, we'll live on this amount of dividends, because you might not be able to. And so if you already have a budget, that's great, but you also need to kind of have a budget for different scenarios depending on the stage of life that you might be in. Because if you're going to live off dividends, you go through different stages of life and your needs will change as time goes on. The dividend income might also change as time goes on. It depends if you spend it all or whether you can still invest some. There are very different factors that come into play when thinking about the lifestyle that you want to lead. Obviously, the lower your income needs are, the less dividend income that you need to then replace that, and therefore the goal might seem slightly more attainable. But is that the kind of level of income you want to live off for the next 50 years? There's a lot of things that you need to think about when it comes to creating that dividend income stream that essentially you want to replace your 9-to-5 job or your self-employment, or whatever it is it's replacing. You need to think about the kind of lifestyle you want to lead from that point onwards, because remember, if it's a replacing income, therefore you're not working as much, you might have lots more free time, you might then want to take up hobbies, so there's lots of things to balance up when you're thinking about creating a dividend income stream. This also links to the FIRE movement, so the Financial Independence Retire Early movement. They generally live off dividends, most of them. Some of them have buy-to-lets, but dividend income seems to be quite a big part of their journey. I'll leave a link below to our early retirement dreams video if you want to check that out. So to give an example of just what you might need to save and invest in order to achieve the dividend income, the only way that you will achieve dividend income is by investing in a company or a fund that pays dividends. So individual companies much more high risk, funds are much more diversified, so they're low risk. Funds generally tend to pay lower dividend yield, so just watch out for that. If you want to live on £24,000 a year, £2,000 a month, using the 4% rule, so you take 4% as the kind of the income, you would need to invest £600,000 in order for that to work out. If you want to live on £40,000 a year, it's then £1 million invested to again take that income out of there. For the example of this, because 4% can be quite conservative. Dividend yields, are kind of looking at, especially if you're individual companies, 7-8%. Also, you need to look at the price of the stock market and the annual gains that you get. 4% is quite a conservative estimate. If we take the figure, you want to live off £25,000 a year at 5%, rather than the 4%, I'm going to use 5% because that's a bit of a more of an average. And if you follow the stock market, it does seem to kind of yield that kind of return. £25,000 a year means that you have to have £500,000 invested at 5%. That gives us the £25,000 a year annual income, and we'll use that as the example. The next thing to talk about is how long it will take. And honestly, again, that really depends on your circumstances. The more you can save, the sooner that will be. So if we're talking about that £500,000 number, if you can only save £200 a month, which is great as a starting point, it's going to take you a long time, if ever, to get to the £500,000 mark. You need to be saving more than that consistently if you can. Now remember, once your dividend income starts to grow, as you're growing this, the quickest way to get there is to reinvest that dividend income back into your portfolio to buy more holdings, which then pay out more because you've got more of them. If, using the £500,000 figure, if you start with a £5,000 pot, that's what you open your stocks and shares ISA with. You then add a £500 a month into that stocks and shares ISA, assuming a 10% return each year, and that's a 5% yield from your dividend income and 5% from kind of the markets as a whole. Grown over time, it will take you 21 years to reach your £500,000 goal. The more you save, obviously the quicker that will be. But £500 a month for 21 years is kind of a workable time frame. Getting a portfolio of that size, if you don't earn a lot of money, is a slow and steady game. But remember, most people get mortgages over 25 years, and this will take you less time than that, and if maybe one month you put £500 in, but the next month you sell loads of things on Facebook and eBay, and you can put £800 in, for example, it kind of shortens the time. So the more you can kind of scrape together and put in there, because compound interest and compounding on your dividends and the yield and reinvesting will speed up the process. But if we use that very conservative estimate of the £500,000 mark, you start with £5,000 to open your ISA, and then you add in £500 a month at the 10% annual growth. That will take you 21 years, just over 21 years. So if you started this when you're 21, you get your first job and do this methodically and consistently for every single month, you could then reach your pot, if you like, by 42, and that's a lot sooner than we're expected, assumed to work to. So the sooner you can start this, the better. But if you want to live off £60,000 a year, perhaps you've got a really extravagant lifestyle and you want it to be £80,000 a year, the numbers you're looking at there to create that dividend income stream, the amount you have to have invested is big. But if you want that kind of income, that seems to suggest that you already have that kind of income. So in theory, you can make the changes and make the savings and invest that to recreate that. Obviously, the bigger the sums, the more you have to save for. But that is how much you need to live off. And that's how long it would take you to be able to live off the dividends alone. Now, us as a family, we're aiming to achieve an £1,000 a month dividend income stream to cover our main expenses when we hit early retirement. I'll leave a link below to that dividend income video, and I explain in more detail what that will cover. It sounds quite small in the grand scheme of things, but we're hoping that we'll have made our expenses that much lower so that it covers everything. And then any extra income we get, any dividend income like growth, because it should grow year on year in theory, is like an added bonus to that. So don't forget to check that out. It explains why we're doing this and what our journey has been so far. And of course, I do dividend income reports every month, so don't forget to check those out if you are interested in that. How long and how much do you need to live off the dividends alone? I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope that it makes you think about maybe you could attempt to do this as well. Even if you just manage to create a small income stream that supplements your other income, then you can start to make big changes, and then you can maybe start to do things that you perhaps feel like you can't at the moment. Say even if you manage to build over time, say a £5,000 a year dividend income stream, imagine how much that could enrich your lives and change so that you can do whatever you like. And if that's not motivation, I don't know what is. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon.